Top 10 Father's Day Nightmares. Number 1. Float Don't Fight. Austin and Ollie Joy spent Father's Day weekend in 2018 in Atlantic Beach with their twin girls. A rip current swept in as the family was taking a quick swim in the water. The powerful tide quickly pulled the twins farther out into the ocean. Ollie and Austin dove in after their girls right after, only to get sucked into the rip current themselves. Several Marines who were nearby surfing at the time saw the family in trouble up close, screamed commands to float on their backs when they couldn't quickly get to them. Before the soldiers could get to the Joys and pull all but one of them ashore, minutes that felt like hours would pass. Austin, sadly, would never surface from the ocean. Ollie has made it her mission to utilize her family's sorrow to rescue lives ever since that awful Father's Day. Ollie has raised awareness about how to survive a rip current with the straightforward message, conserve your energy and float. She has done this by launching her Float Don't Fight campaign. Do not struggle against the current. You will wear yourself out. Number 2. Parking Spot. In January 2018, when putting his car in a driveway, William Fernandez ran into David Hall for the first time. Hall, who is notorious for fighting with neighbors over parking, was immediately enraged when Fernandez, 33, seized his place. After several minutes of tense discussion, both parties parted ways. But for Hall, their conflict was far from done. Hall, who had harbored resentment for 5 months, got his comeuppance in the wee hours of June 17, Father's Day. Hall, 47, pulled his gun and started firing as they crossed paths once more. Fernandez fled on foot, and Hall pursued him while firing shots. Only hours before spending a quiet Father's Day with his 4 children, who had crafted gifts for their father, Fernandez, who had been shot in the chest, ran 2 blocks before collapsing and passing away. Hall was finally apprehended and charged with murder in a Brooklyn criminal court after spending 3 weeks on the run. He was found guilty and given a 20-year-to-life sentence in February 2020. Number 3. Cheesecake Aficionado. The house of a 5-year-old youngster who was not responding was visited by Milwaukee police in June 2019. Officers immediately realized the infant was dead upon entering the home. After a night of drinking with pals, his father, Travis Stackhouse, had just come home from a bar. Initially telling police that his son had fallen down the stairs earlier in the day, Stockdale's 6-year-old son would later dispute that account. The boy told authorities that his father had hit his brother hours earlier in a confession, which prompted officers to detain the father of 5 children. The youngster had experienced blunt force trauma, as shown by the medical examiner's office's report that the child had a ruptured stomach, damaged kidneys, and a torn adrenal gland. After learning that his son had consumed a piece of cheesecake he had received for Father's Day, the 30-year-old father eventually admitted to punching him. Stackhouse was given a 20-year prison term after entering a guilty plea to second-degree homicide, child abuse, and child neglect. Number 4. Final outing. On Father's Day in 2006, Brian Calhoun just wanted one thing from his father, William, to spend the entire day with him. The two had just returned to their Long Island home from a lovely afternoon at the movies and dinner when the unthinkable happened. An automobile crashed into the living room as William, 59, was relaxing on the sofa and watching television. Brian, 25, was frantically searching through the debris when he discovered his father stuck between the couch and the kitchen wall. "I knew he was going to die just by looking at him. Before he passed away, I wanted to talk to him," Brian stated. "I got on my knees in front of him. I told him how much I cherished him. I assure him that my little brother would be taken care of and that he need not worry. He was gone after I gave him a forehead kiss." After being seen participating in a cocaine transaction in a nearby town, the car's 28-year-old driver, Richard Meyer, was photographed escaping from police at 145 km per hour, 90 miles per hour. Following a conviction for DWI and causing a fatality while evading the police, Meyer was given a prison term of 7 to 14 years. Sadly, William, a veteran of the Vietnam War, had decided to leave his work after 40 years in just 6 months. Number 5. Savage Butchery. On Father's Day in 2018, officers responding to a 911 call could never have anticipated the bloodbath they would soon face. When police arrived on the scene, they were greeted by terrified neighbors who were helplessly standing in the street as terrifying screams resounded from a home in Utah. Abe Martinez, 44, who had just been released from a federal prison and was now holding his grandparents hostage at knife point, was inside. Officers said that, unbeknownst to his grandparents, Abe had some sort of score to pay with them. During the standoff, the insane parolee once started dicing and slashing his grandma Rose before practicing on his grandfather. In the midst of the chaos, SWAT police were able to have a clear view of the attack through a window, giving them the chance to start fire. Police invaded the house and discovered the 71-year-old grandfather desperately trying to stay alive while Abe's bullet-riddled body lay dead on the floor. Unfortunately, Rose Martinez, 89, was declared deceased at the scene. Authorities are still unsure of what caused the massacre. Number 6. Deadly fire. Firefighters John Downing, 40, Brian Fay, 46, and Harry Ford, 50, tragically killed away in New York 3 months before the 9/11 attacks. A hardware shop fire that two troubled teens mistakenly ignited on Father's Day in June moved into the cellar and caused a chemically fed explosion that buckled the building. Fire-filled debris showered down on Ford and Downing during the explosion, burying them alive. The explosion launched firefighters into the street. Fay was sucked down into the cellar from the first level at the same time and was never heard from again. On a day that was intended to be spent and enjoyed with dads, 8 kids suddenly found themselves without fathers. Firefighter Richie Schmidt, who was off duty when he rushed to the fire, recalled on that terrible day when he visited the scene years later and said, "I just have a real hollow feeling. As awful as things could get, this was. We didn't believe it could get worse, but it did." Many of the men present that day couldn't finish the 11th